Peter McGuire is in Sydney. He's the founding managing director of investment firm CWA Global Markets. Peter, hello. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Mark.
Peter, we're seeing a sell-off, across all asset classes besides government debt. Gold is $100 or so off its highs. Oil off its sort of early May highs of $87. Is now the time to be filling our boots with commodities, Peter, or do they have further to fall?
Well, Mark, we've seen some very, very interesting trade over the last couple of weeks. There's nothing that can deny that. If you're looking at a longer term, I think it's relatively cheap today. So I think that the copper price is, considering it's at 6,500, a couple of weeks ago it was at 8,000. Nickel's the same, very, very far cheaper today than what it was a couple of weeks ago, and gold. So I think it's not a bad time to buy, Mark, as long as you've got plenty of time on your hands.
What about China, Peter? You know, they're really trying to curb loan growth, and many are saying ultimately it's going to slow the economy, it's going to cut demand for commodities, principally base metals. What about that argument?
Well, I think over the short term you might be right. I mean, I listen to the likes of Jim Chanos, and I see that Hugh Hendry's got a fund going as far as, looking at for correction in that whole market. Mohammed El Arian, and what these guys are saying, that you could see a little bit of a slowdown. But remembering that they're still growing at 12 or 13%, Mark, if you look at the big headline number. So if they go back to 10, it's still not too bad. But the longer-term story is I see more industrialisation and urbanisation for all of China and pretty much all of Asia.
But do you think this debt crisis that Europe does seem to be in the middle of, what sort of damage is it going to do, Peter, to your neck of the woods, to the Australias, to the Asias?
Well, Mark, we've coupled that with a super tax at introduction, and I think that could turn into a contagion affair if you see the likes of Brazil and certainly India and Chile and Canada adopt similar practices, because they're looking at the reserves and they want to say it's for the people and for the betterment of the whole country. So if you see the introduction of that as far as a contagion, that's going to slow things down. And I think overall, I'm very worried about Europe. I look at countries like Latvia, Mark, that had draconian austerity packages introduced. Yeah. Unemployment's gone from 6 to 23%.
OK, Peter, got to leave it. Have a great weekend. We'll speak to you soon. Peter McGuire there.